So I just found out I'm $348,043 in debt, and I don't even know how this happened.
Going to be very exposing and embarrassing, but I got into over $13,000 of credit card debt because I just didn't like myself.
Like, I'm trying not to be stressed out, but
So I was a victim of the government's illegal robo-debt scheme and spent most of my 20s in debt.
This is part 4 of how we got into massive debt. My name is Amy, I'm a stay-at-home mom, and I'm trying to pay off $128,000 of consumer debt using social media. In this video, I'm going to explain our thinking behind putting in a $45,000 in-ground pool. We purchased this pool almost 3 years ago, and the balance is down to $43,000. So we've barely made a dent. If you've watched the other parts of this series, I'm sure you're picking up on a theme that my husband and I just made really irresponsible and impulsive decisions, and this pool is no exception. We bought our home in 2023 as a new construction. So we had a little bit of a unique process with building our house. We actually came to our builder with a budget that we were pre-approved for and said, here's our budget, what can we do with it? And with the builder, we decided that we could do the house, and obviously like the septic, the electrical, the plumbing, like everything you need to live in a house. We omitted a garage. We omitted all grading. We didn't get a driveway. Like, it was literally just the structure of the house on our property and then the cost of the property. Once the house was built, we were then starting to decide what we wanted to do with the land, how we wanted the yard to look, how we wanted to grade it. And if you're unaware, the cost of grading your land and getting loom and doing all the things to like actually grow grass is pretty expensive. And when me and my husband learned how much it was going to cost, we started talking about long-term future plans and how we knew we wanted a pool someday. Well, at the time, it didn't make any sense to go through all of this work just to then in a few years dig it all up, put in a pool, put in a patio, and pretty much waste all the effort in the backyard. At the same time, we didn't want our land to just be a plot of dirt for like 4 or 5 years. And prior to building our house, we had paid off all of our debt. So we had no credit cards. I didn't think I was going to have student loans. Go back to that video if you don't know what I'm talking about. So we were debt free besides our mortgage. It was going to cost $500 a month to finance this pool. We had previously been paying even more than that in debt, so we thought it just wasn't that big of a deal. I know we had just gotten out of debt and now we had a mortgage. Why would we get into more debt? But again, at the time, we just talked about it, said, why would we put in grass just to put in a pool? Let's just put in the pool now. It's not that expensive a month. And then we just got the ball rolling and all of a sudden we had a pool. We definitely didn't take our time to sit and think and like run the numbers and see how much we'd actually be paying by financing it. Am I trying to justify our decision? Absolutely not. I'm just trying to explain what our thinking was so that you don't make the same mistakes I do. Because that thinking that $500 a month isn't that bad then led to the DVC, oh, $397 a month isn't all that bad. And that just snowballs in the wrong direction. And all of a sudden you're paying $2,200 a month in consumer debt payments, like me. So that's the story of why we thought it was a good idea to put in an in-ground pool. Come back for part 5 where I'll talk about our credit card debt / our personal loans. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day. Love you. Bye.
If you've ever said, I deserve this to justify a purchase, you may be in a similar boat that I've been in. Every single morning, I make a micropayment to debt or to savings so that I don't impulsively buy things or hit that click to buy, add to cart button. It's 4:37. I already made a micropayment today of $5. I'm at that point where I've not bought anything for myself other than one book that was 40 cents for 3 months. I'm getting in that mentality of, well, I deserve a new handbag. I deserve new jeans. I deserve a new jacket for being so good. Getting to be debt-free is not going to be fun. Saying I deserve this is kind of contradictory because shopping is what got me in this place in the first place. Like, paying down debt shouldn't be something that gets you a reward. It's something you did to yourself that you're fixing, not equaling to rewarding myself for paying off things my previous self had purchased. That's not achieving a goal for me. Comment if you're in a rut with your debt journey, or if you're new here and you've made a micropayment, drop it in the comments. Follow along. I'm doing this all year long.
Okay, I want to come and film part 2 to how we got into debt before I lose motivation on it. So long story short, we had accumulated RV loan, bought my new vehicle, have a couple credit cards from just like gear purchases for my business. Essentially, that's literally all they are. Is I have an Amazon card. I purchased something on there. I don't even remember. And a firm card that I purchased a very expensive lens on. My laptop died this past summer, and I had to buy a new laptop from Best Buy. See, I can't even freaking remember them all, and that's a problem. I think that's about it. And then my husband also got stem cells a couple years ago, and so we have a card for that, and then which is almost paid off. And then we also have oh, I have a Capital One credit card, which is a whole thing. I'm very mad about that one. Um, and then he also has a just like a Chase card that he was using to build credit, so it's not like super high or anything, but it just like got a little bit out of hand where it's like kind of unmanageable to just pay it all off. So that's kind of like our debt toll. And then I also have tax debt, which is a whole nother thing that I want to touch on, because I have been an extremely irresponsible business owner the last several years and never saved that 30% of my income to put towards my taxes when it was time to file. So that is pretty hefty, honestly. I owe 11,000 from 2024 that I just filed. So I don't even know what's going on with 2025 yet. Um, so that's kind of where we are. And then backtracking to the car loan that we got this past March, my payment is $890 a month, which is literally astronomical. I am so angry with us for even putting ourselves in that situation. But at the time, we were like, that's fine. We were making a lot of money. Like, we can pay for that. It's not that big of a deal. And then over the summer, we were just like, that is just not obtainable and ridiculous and pointless because, yet again, just kind of like the weight of keeping up with everybody else and like, it's a nice car. I plan to drive it for a long time. I'm able to like add more kids to it because it's got a third row and XYZ, all of the excuses on why we thought we needed it. So that is kind of like our biggest hurdle that we're trying to get through first, as well as like doing the minimums on our credit cards. We are planning to sell my car, but I owe 15,000 more than what it's worth. So we kind of have to tackle that before we can work on other things. And we plan to sell my husband's paid off vehicle, which is so painful, but I want to go in depth on how we're going to do all of this. But I kind of just wanted to conclude where we're at on our debt. And I will come and kind of talk about what we have that we owe at some point. I need to add it all up because I don't even like looking at it. I do have it added up somewhere, so I'm not just being naive about it. But yeah, that's kind of how we got here. And again, we really didn't realize how big of an issue it was until starting this winter, where we were like, okay, my income slowed down. We don't just have huge lump sums of money coming in currently. So we kind of need a budget to pay these bills. And then when we added up all of our bills, it was like, that's not good. So yeah, I appreciate all of your guys' kind words and like following along. It again makes me nervous because I know that a lot of people that I know follow me, um, and are seeing this, and it's kind of stressful, but at the same time, like I am normally all about transparency, so I'm trying to stick to that. So thank you guys for following along.
This is going to be very exposing and embarrassing, but I got into over $13,000 of credit card debt because I just didn't like myself. And obviously this is like not a fun thing to say, but because I post about paying off my debt, and I recently just posted a video talking about all of the embarrassing things I did while I was growing my debt, it just came down to feelings within myself. Before I get into any of this, if you've never seen any of my videos before, I used to be in over $13,000 of credit card debt. I've cut that down to a little bit below $5,000. I'm also trying to save at least $10,000 so I can bring my mom on an African safari when she retires. And I do all of this alone, living on a teacher salary in New York City, so budgeting is really important because I don't have a lot of money that I'm really working with. On my last video, when I was talking about the embarrassing things that I did while I was in debt, people were asking me like, why do you think you got into so much debt? And I really think the root of it, at least for myself, was I was just running away from myself. There's very like multifaceted things that I can go into about this topic, but I think the main point is I was just really unhappy with myself and I was seeking outlets elsewhere. It's like that immediate dopamine rush, right? Of like buying something, feeling the dopamine hit, and then like it just being gone instantaneously after. And I can make another video on how I managed to start breaking away at my debt, but I think the root of it is I had to do a lot of work internally, right? Because I don't want to pay off all of this debt and then get right back in the same spot that I was in a couple of years ago. So I really think that I had to learn how to like myself and how to be happy with what I had, because I was constantly trying to find happiness in other things and other experiences and other purchases and other like injectables I would get into my face. I'm not bashing injectables. I would love to get some more Botox, but I think it was just really heavy on having to find happiness and being content within yourself, because right now I'm living incredibly frugal. I really don't buy anything often, and it's really helped me become appreciative of what I have and what I am. And I think if I was unhappy with myself, I don't think this would be possible.
Take 3 or 4. I don't know. I've lost track. I keep deleting and re-recording, which I don't think I'm supposed to do. But it's just like, I don't know how to synthesize what I'm about to say in as few words as possible, because there's so much story involved in how we ended up in over $80,000 of debt, that like I'm really having a hard time making it succinct and not 8 minutes long. But that's it. I'm not gonna hit stop. I'm not gonna hit delete. I'm just gonna like one shot. Here we go. So how did we get here? First of all, hey, welcome back to another episode of me doing almost anything that it takes to get us out of over $80,000 of debt as quickly and legally as possible. I prefaced this video in my last video. This is part 2. So if you want to know part 1, just go to my page and watch it. But this is me just basically like breaking down what the debts are and trying to be very, I don't know. I want to be very polite, cordial in like how I say a lot of this stuff, but kind of part of the bottom line is that both of us are divorced and remarried now to each other. So both of us came into this marriage with some debts. In another video, I talked about how during my divorce, like my ex-husband somehow believed that I owed him money, which like, first of all, if you're in a marriage, like you can't be in debt to your spouse. Like you're one unit, like you're literally supposed to be one flesh, one body. And so like, how can you be in debt to a part of yourself? Like that is so not biblical. And so if you find yourself in that situation, like I'm just praying for you, because I know how much that sucks. And to have your spouse like hounding you every single day because like you owe them money, and like that stress is so unhealthy for a marriage and a relationship. So I'm sorry that you find yourself in that position. I'm praying for you. It is miserable. I've been there. I've lived it. It is awful. But part of the debt that I brought into the marriage is, like in order to pay back my ex-husband, I borrowed money from my grandma. And so I had a debt to her. That debt is down to, I think, $5,300. So that's one of the debts. Then most of the debt is credit card debt. And this is the part that makes me want to vomit to even say it. Like to admit this is so crazy to me. Okay, so my credit card has like a $40,000 credit limit. There's $61 available on that card. So we basically owe $40,000 to my credit card. And 17,000 of that is a balance transfer check that we, with intention, took out against my credit card because we get 12 months at 0%. So it's basically like taking a loan out against my own credit card for 1 year at 0%. So that's what 17,000 of it is that it's still debt. Don't get me wrong. It is still debt, no matter which way you try to twist it and flip it. So there's that. And then my husband has a credit card that's maxed out at like $25,000, maybe a little bit more. And that one is from medical expenses. He paid for some surgeries for his ex-wife, like while they were in the process of their divorce. She had breast cancer. So like, what are you supposed to do? Let the mother of your children die? Probably not. But we get to carry that debt. So, you know, basically he's only able to pay off the interest every month, of that. So there's that one. And then there's 2 other smaller credit cards that he has that are both maxed out. I think one is like $6,000 and one is like $4,000. And like, so that right there alone makes up 40, 65, 70, 75, that's 80. That's 80 right there. So that's how we're there. But then I hate to say it, we're actually in well over 6 figures of debt because I have a house in Tulum that my ex-husband and I bought while we were still together, and we still have 2 years on the mortgage of that, or like less than 2 years. But so technically that is a debt, right? But it's an investment property, like it's a rental property. So I don't know. That one's a little weird to consider. And then other debts, this is insane, I want to throw up, are my husband's student loans that are like, I don't even know where they're at, but it's like 15 grand or so, something like that. And he actually also, in his divorce, got his wife's student loans, ex-wife's student loan debts. So there's those as well, which, you know, we can't even make payments on because, like, we don't even have money in our bank accounts. Like, we've literally been living off of credit for pretty much the last year. So yeah, we are making some radical moves to pay off these credit cards and then like not use them. And within the next like 2 weeks, actually, we will have paid off the 2 smaller credit cards of his, the one that's like $3,000 or $4,000, $5,000 or $6,000, and paid down like 10 grand on mine. That's at 40K. So we are making some big steps, but we have a long ways to go, and there's a lot. And the problem realistically is not going further in debt. I mean, we're kind of at the point now where like there's no cash in the accounts and there's no credit available on the cards. So like we literally can't buy anything. We can't afford anything. And that is kind of what has driven me to this point of being like, you know what? I don't care. I have tried to be very like, not saying much, just out of respect for like our previous spouses and situations and whatever. But like, we cannot live like this. So like, I'm done trying to keep it a secret. I'm done not saying anything. I'm done not putting it out there, because if any of this helps that and helps us get on our feet so that we can afford to freaking live our lives and not just spend the rest of our lives in debt, then I'm gonna do it. I'm going to do it. That's it. The lioness, she has been activated. Like, I am ready to fight and claw my way out of all of this, because it is unacceptable, unreasonable, and like, we literally can't live like this. Like, the fact that I'm not even buying groceries right now and I'm just like, I'll just eat whatever's around. Are you kidding me? There is no way that we two people who make multiple 6 figures a year cannot afford anything. Absolutely not. I'm sorry. I believe that money is easy to make. I believe that there is a freak abundance of money in the world, that it is literally everywhere all the time, waiting to be snatched up and grabbed. Like, my money mindset is that like, money is literally one of the most abundant resources on the world, in the world, if not the most. Like, so you're telling me I can't tap into that? Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Psych. That's not the case. So that's where we're at. I was really trying not to make this an 8-minute video, but I have a lot to say on the matter. And it's finally out there. And with every video that I make, like, if you made it this far, first of all, thank you. You're a real one. Love you. I'm not even gonna, you're a real one. Love you. But yeah, with every video that I make, I literally am releasing things that I have been holding in for a year. I have wanted to do this kind of stuff for a year because this is where we've been. But like I said, I was just trying to be respectful of other parties involved from our pasts. But like, our situation is now so dire that like, all bets are off. Not all bets are off. That's why... And that's why I'm willing to do almost anything, like literally almost anything. So that's that. And now it's out there, and like, I honestly feel free. Like, I really didn't want to make this video. I was embarrassed. I was ashamed. I was like feeling like a fool, and like literally like, how the mother frick did you allow yourself to end up in this situation? But now I'm about to hit post, and that's that. So if you're on this journey as well, then it's so hard for my millennial fingers to do that. Bye, love you.
So I would have to chart a lot when I got home. And while my husband saw that as okay because I was home. I didn't see it as okay because I wasn't getting to spend time with my family. I was like, I have to go disappear into my room in order to chart these notes, even though it was super simple to chart because my brain can't take everything going on around me, and then chart words at the same time. It's just not happening. So I had to disappear for up to an hour to 2 hours at a time, depending on what it was. Because in a mission, it was up to 4 hours after I got home. And I didn't like that. So I started looking in other places. Now, when I first got my license, I was very stubborn. I wouldn't work night shift. I wouldn't drive very far because I felt like it was too much. I was a bougie person, is what it was. And so when I came to the conclusion that I needed to find me a position that I could clock in and out of, go home and actually spend time with my family, I decided to look into travel nursing, because in that area, and with the fact that I wasn't super excited about driving further than what I was already driving to get to the area where I worked for hospice and the hospital, and the fact that I've spent the last 9 months in my car, I decided traveling was the thing that I was going to do, because, I didn't want to spend a lot of time in my car, so we're going to spend time away from home. Tell me how much sense that made, because I still haven't been able to make sense of it. But that's what I did. So I started looking into travel companies, and I got a great recruiter. Come back for part 5.
So I just found out I'm $348,043 in debt, and I don't even know how this happened, but I probably have the record for being in this much debt at 21. So here's what I found out. So I spent $84,000 of that on my college tuition. I take that as an investment because I'll make that money back once I get my degree. I also spent $109,000 on a brand new car. Now, I'm a strong believer that sometimes you need to enjoy your life and get the things that you deserve, but I low-key totaled it during the first month, so... And for the rest, I spent $155,043 on DoorDash and Uber Eats. Now that's just another investment because you can't survive if you don't eat. But I might have taken it too far, and I think I gotta take my finances more seriously. So I'm gonna start paying off my debt using this app called KiwiPop, and it basically gamifies paying off your credit cards. It also keeps all my credit cards in one place, so I restrict myself from spending. I think it's about time to turn my life around, so follow me to see me pay off my debt.
So, I'm trying not to be stressed out, but mentally, I can't get the fact out of my head that my student loans were $30,000 and they kept getting deferred, and now they're at $60,000, and I maxed out on an $800 credit card, but because I wasn't in a position to pay it back, I kept getting $150 charges of interest. And then I also had a $5,000 credit card, and I only spent $1,500 on it when I first had it because I was staying under my 30% usage. But then I got in a car accident in a rental car in Houston under my friend's name for my birthday, and so I paid the man out of pocket from the credit card $3,000, which then put me $4,000 something in the hole with 2 credit cards now. And then I have tried to pay my taxes for the last 3 years, and I don't get the letter talking about how much I owe, and now my account's all confused, and I just owe hella money to doctors, and I'm on all these payment plans for my car, and it's a lot of money in the air that I'm not gonna be able to replace because I'm a social worker. Am I finna die with debt? Am I fucked?
So I was a victim of the government's illegal robo-debt scheme and spent most of my 20s in debt. As a bit of a backstory, I moved out of home when I was 18 and started working full-time. After a few years of working full-time, I decided that I wanted to go and study. So I started my advanced diploma of applied fashion design, was working part-time as a disability support worker, and I was also getting Centrelink Oz study payments. For the first yearish of studying, things were going well for me. I was making ends meet, and I was quite proud of myself for how I was surviving financially as a student. I even managed to go to Europe by myself when I was about 21, but things started to go downhill for me when I decided that I wanted to get laser eye surgery. From memory, it was about $12,000, and it was just one of those things that I just wanted then and there. So I decided to get a credit card to pay for my laser eye surgery. I got one that had an interest-free period of 12 months. So I thought, rather than save up the money for 12 months, I can just get it done now not have to wear glasses while I pay off that amount, and I'll be no worse off after the 12 months. Well, that is not what happened. I just struggled to get anywhere with paying that credit card off. I would pay money off, but then at the end of the fortnight, I would have to use my credit card because I'd be out of money. In my last year of TAFE, that's when things really started to go downhill. Keep in mind as well, I was spending a lot of money on my studies, like my graduate collection. It was all self-funded and it was quite expensive. I get an email from the government saying that I have been overpaid and I owe them $15,000. I was already really stressed about the credit card debt that I was in, and now I had this Centrelink debt as well. I was also just extremely embarrassed because I thought that it was my fault. So they ended up taking an amount per week out of my payments, and then when I finished studying, I started to pay them fortnightly. I think it would come automatically out of my pay. And I literally had to get one of those really high interest shark loans so that I could pay to put fuel in my car to get to my job. Even after I finished studying and I was working full time, it took me years to pay off all of my credit card debt and finally get rid of that Centrelink debt. And then years later, when I was in my late 20s, I got an email saying that it was all a mistake and I had all of that money paid back to me, which was just insane because I would have never even thought to question that debt. I did also receive a settlement because there was a class action lawsuit. I think it was only a few $100s, but at least it was something. Looking back, I don't know if I would have done anything differently, to be honest, because everything worked out okay in the end.
Hi guys, welcome to day 3 of my series. My series is I am over $200,000 in debt and I am trying to get rid of most of my debt and then save up so that I can go move and live closer to my best friend. As I've said before, I have 2 kids, I'm a mom, I'm married, and I'm just trying to get rid of this debt that I've got. So yesterday I talked about how I was paying some of my overdue bills, so I did one of them, the house insurance, $207, done. And then the other one, I called them and they're just gonna take out that payment on the 15th. They're gonna take out the extra $200. So it's I'll have $249 coming out of my account on the 15th. So I have that in my bank account ready, and I have sticky notes up. I'll show you my sticky notes. Anyway, so I'm not crossing them off the list yet just because I have that one done, but I don't have the other one paid, so I'm going to cross it off when it's done and paid. So here's my list of the debts, and then I have all my bills and the days they're coming out. So this is the one that I need to catch up on, and then everything else has its date and when it's coming out. Now, one thing that me and my husband are bad about doing, when we buy groceries, we just go and just grab everything that we want pretty much. So this time, instead of doing that, to stick to a more strict budget, I gave us $500 to get through 2 weeks groceries, and then I made a list of everything that we need, and then we went and we got all the things that we need, and then we just added stuff. So yesterday we went grocery shopping and we spent $328.88. So that leaves, I'll do the calculation and put the number up. So it leaves that much money left over that will go next Thursday or Friday again, and then do another grocery shop on just all the stuff that we need. We get paid every second Friday, my husband does, and I get paid on the 7th and the 22nd. And then we, of course, get child tax on the 20th. So every 2 weeks on my husband's pay, we pay our mortgage and our car payment, plus other bills and stuff, but those are the main 2 expenses. And so we did that, which will decrease the debt that we have. So again, yesterday I said I was down $410, but that money didn't actually come out of my account because I thought that they were going to take that money out when I called them, but they just said, oh yeah, we'll put it on your next payment, so it'll all come out at the same time. So I haven't paid that yet. I'm not going to cross it off yet. So instead, I started at $209,071.77, and the remaining debt total is, I'll just put it right here just because I don't have it in my mind, so I'll just put the text right here. And that means that the remaining debt that I have to lose for my goal, I will also just put that right there. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for an update on what I've done.
One thing I'm not stressing about anymore is my debt. And this is not to say that I don't want to take care of my debt or pay it off. I do, and I do pay my debt. But I'm not putting it on a pedestal anymore. If I can put a little bit extra towards my debt 1 month, then great. But if there's something else I'd rather do with that money, I'm gonna do it. Vacation, concert, whatever it is. Because life is too short. In debt, it's just gonna keep on coming. Debt comes in so many different forms, and America is so expensive. It's hard to not put yourself in debt. Debt is hard to get out of and so easy to get into, so I'm just gonna prioritize living my life, having fun, and not stressing. I'll pay my debt off completely when I make it that far. But right now, it's just about enjoying life and
Had a bit of a rude awakening in looking at my credit card bills and my husband's. It's more than I thought it was, which is saying a lot. I think the total we got to is $27,970 and some change. Yeah, how to tackle this. Did a balance transfer of $12,000 with a 0% interest for a few months, so hopefully that'll help. What I think I'm going to do from here on out is make weekly payments. How we'll do it is $1 for my follower account plus $1 per engagement. That sounds kind of aggressive, but I think we need aggressive right now. So I wanted to use the follower account so that I'm making a minimum of $200 some payments a weekly. Based on my current follower account right now, I think it was 228. So 228 is the minimum and an additional $1 per engagement. Today we'll just start with follower account, so 228. I'm gonna put a $228 payment on the highest credit card, and then I will check back in for next weekend, and we'll count the follower count then plus engagement. So please follow, like, share, engage in general. I want to be aggressive with this, and this is a good way for me to have some accountability.